Everyone remembers the Lamborghini Countach and Porsche 911, but a whole fleet of wild, weird, and wonderful machines quietly slipped through the cracks of history. These weren't just rare. They were experiments, one-offs, and passion projects that pushed boundaries and broke rules. Some came from unexpected countries. Others had power plants no one saw coming. A few looked like they drove straight out of a science fiction movie and vanished just as fast. Here are 7 rare sports cars from the 70s you never knew about. Number 7, Ligier JS2. At first glance, the Ligier JS2 might seem like just another wedge-shaped sports car from the 1970s, but this French oddity was hiding something serious under its fiberglass skin. Built by Guy Ligier, a former rugby player and racing driver, the JS2 wasn't just a vanity project. It was a legitimate performance machine designed to take on the best in endurance racing. At the heart of the JS2 was a 2.7-liter Maserati V6, the same engine used in the Citroën SM, which gave the car around 170 horsepower. That may not sound like much today, but in a lightweight body weighing just over 2,400 pounds, it was plenty to make things exciting. And when Ligier turned to racing, they cranked the output up to 330 horsepower and even finished second overall in the 1975 Le Mans 24 Hours. Unfortunately, production was plagued by Citroën's financial collapse, also doomed Maserati. With only 249 units ever made, the JS2 faded into obscurity. But for those who know their racing history, this is one French sports car that's earned its stripes. Number 6, Melkis RS1000. Built in the unlikely automotive landscape of East Germany, the Melkis RS1000 is one of the most fascinating sports cars to come out of the Cold War era. Designed by Heinz Melkis, an East German racing driver, the RS1000 was based on the humble Wartburg 353, but you'd never guess that from its swoopy body and exotic gull-wing doors. Underneath the sleek fiberglass shell was a 1.0-liter 3-cylinder 2-stroke engine that cranked out a modest 70 horsepower. But don't laugh, this was East Germany in the 70s, and the RS1000 weighed less than 2,000 pounds. It could still hit a top speed of around 104 miles per hour, which was respectable given its origins and mechanical limitations. Production was painfully limited. Just 101 were made. Most of them sold to racers and government-connected individuals. In today's world, finding one is like spotting a unicorn, and thanks to the obscure parts and minimal documentation, restoring it's even harder. Number 5, AC Frua 428. Think of the AC Frua 428 as the British answer to the Iso Grifo or the Maserati Ghibli, a blend of high-powered muscle and timeless Italian design. Built by AC Cars, the 428 was their attempt at a luxury GT car that could cruise Europe's highways in comfort and style, with a whole lot of V8 growl under the hood. The chassis was based on the AC Cobra, but stretched to accommodate a longer wheelbase and a grand touring profile. The engine was a massive 7-liter Ford V8, the same one used in some Shelby Cobras, putting out a monstrous 345 horsepower. That gave it blistering performance, with a 0 to 60 time under 6 seconds. Only 81 cars were ever produced, 49 coupes and 32 convertibles, before the project quietly ended. Today, it's a forgotten jewel, overshadowed by the Cobra, but no less impressive in its own right. Number 4, Monteverde High 450 SS. If James Bond ever defected to Switzerland, this might have been the car he drove. The Monteverde High 450 SS wasn't just rare, it was nearly mythical. Built by Swiss luxury car maker Peter Monteverde, the High was a bold mid-engine supercar that tried to take on Lamborghini and Ferrari on their own turf, and on paper it absolutely could have. At its core was a monster, a 7-liter Chrysler Hemi V8 pulled straight out of American muscle car royalty. This thing produced a claimed 450 horsepower, which in 1970 was borderline insane. Monteverde claimed the car could hit 180 miles per hour, making it one of the fastest vehicles of its era. And it wasn't just about speed. The body was sleek, wide, low, and pure drama, with outrageous proportions and a blood-red paint job that made it look like something out of a sci-fi movie. For all its flair and power, the High never got a real chance to show off. The prototype stunned crowds at the 1970 Geneva Motor Show, but the engineering hurdles, the cost of production, and Monteverde's small operation meant the car was never going to be mass-produced. Only 2 prototypes were ever made, one in 1970, and a slightly revised version a year later, making it one of the rarest cars ever built. Number 3, Isolele. Tucked away in Italy's long list of forgotten GTs lies the Isolele, a V8-powered bruiser with a clean, modern design and a very peculiar backstory. Iso Automoto Veicoli was better known for the stylish Iso Grifo and the quirky Isetta bubble car. But the Lele was something different. It was more angular, more understated, and arguably more refined. But behind its modest looks was the soul of a true grand tourer. The Lele was born to celebrate company founder Renzo Revolta's son's wedding. It was originally intended as a one-off gift, which makes its later production even more interesting. Under the hood, it came with either a Chevrolet 327 or later, a Ford 351 Cleveland V8, depending on the year. Power ranged from around 300 to 360 horsepower, giving it the speed to match its GT ambitions. It was a cruiser, yes, but one that could devour the autostrada with effortless torque and the soundtrack of American muscle. Only 285 were ever made, and even fewer survive today in good condition. It never received the hype or collector's buzz of ISO's other models, but it became a legend in the automotive landscape. Number 2, Ford GT70. Here's a name you almost never hear, and yet it comes from one of the most iconic performance lineages in automotive history. The Ford GT70 was built in the shadow of the legendary GT40, but unlike its Le Mans winning older brother, the GT70 had a different mission: rally racing. By the late 60s, Ford of Britain wanted a purpose-built machine that could compete in the European rally circuit. The Escort was doing well, but they wanted something mid-engine, lightweight and radical, a true competitor to Porsche's 911s and Alpine's A110s. Designed by Ernie Bailey and Lynn Bailey, the GT70 featured a fiberglass body over a tubular steel frame. It had a rear mid-mounted 2.6-liter Cologne V6 engine, producing around 240 horsepower, more than enough to throw its 1,800-pound body around gravel stages with serious enthusiasm. Ford also experimented with other engines, including the Cosworth BDA, trying to perfect the formula. But despite the promise, the GT70 never truly took off. The handling was tricky, reliability was an issue, and development costs soared. Ultimately, Ford pulled the plug after building only 6 cars. Of those, just a handful remain, some restored, others hidden in private collections or museums. Number 1, Porsche Tapiro. The Porsche Tapiro wasn't just a sports car, it was a time traveler. The sports Tapiro looks like it came straight from the future, not the same decade that gave us disco and lava lamps. Designed by the legendary Giorgetto Giugiaro, the Tapiro wasn't built to sell, it was built to shock, and it did. The Tapiro made its debut at the 1970 Turin Motor Show and immediately stunned onlookers. Based on the chassis and mechanicals of the Porsche 914-6, it was powered by a 2.4-liter flat 6 engine producing around 220 horsepower. Let's be honest, no one was looking at the spec sheet. All eyes were on the design. The body was pure wedge, razor-sharp angles, a sloping nose, and a rear deck that looked like origami. The car featured gull-wing doors, not just for the cabin, but for all 4 panels, including the rear engine cover. That opened upward like the wings of a mechanical bird. It was part Lamborghini Marzal, part DeLorean, and all attitude. And yet, only one Tapiro was ever built. After its show run, the car was reportedly sold to a Spanish industrialist. But in a twist of fate, the Tapiro's life was cut short. According to legend, the car was destroyed, possibly blown up, during a labor dispute involving the owner's business. Fortunately, the shell was salvaged and later displayed at the Giugiaro Ital Design Museum, a burned-out reminder of what might have been. The Porsche Tapiro never made it to production, never raced, and never got the spotlight it deserved. But its legacy's everywhere, from the angular designs of 80s supercars to the concept sketches of modern EVs. If you want to see more entertaining car videos like this, make sure you like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell.